I used to think changing my life meant doing something massive. There was following a new program, moving new cities, a completely new identity. But the older I get, the more I realize that it's the tiny stuff, the small little things that may not seem like a huge deal in the moment, but can certainly add up and compound year after year to making these huge, massive differences in your life. And more often than not, it's always the boring stuff. The stuff you do when nobody's watching. It's not the sexy stuff that you even post on social media. Like this stuff, like I post a lot of myself on social media, especially on my stories on Snapchat, Instagram, but all these small little micro things that I do on a daily basis are not even highlights, Instagram, social media sharing worthy, right? And so in today's video, I'm going to break down the small micro habits that quietly upgraded my energy, my body, my sleep, my focus, my finances, my health, like everything that I have right now that has got me to where I am today did not come through making this one massive decision or through this one silver bullet. It's been because of these 100 golden BBs. And so I'm going to explain to you guys exactly what these are and how you can implement them into your current lifestyle. And I'm not just going to list them. I'm going to tell you exactly how I use them, why they work, and where the science actually backs them up. So before we get into it, I'm in a gym consistently. I'm obsessive about my performance, my results, and I've coached hundreds of busy men who thought their schedule was too crazy to get results. But the reality is, these micro habits matter a lot more than your motivation and your willpower ever will. So if you steal even four of these habits, you'll feel cleaner, you'll feel sharper, and in more control within the next 7 days. I'm going to group these into 3 separate buckets. So we're going to have our energy and performance habits. We're going to have our sleep and recovery habits. And then lastly, our body composition and mental clarity habits. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into it. Starting with number 1, energy and performance micro habits. First one is drinking water before coffee. Not just before coffee, but before food as well, because first thing I do is water before caffeine. The reason why is because you wake up mildly dehydrated. You got to think about it. You have slept for hopefully 7 to 9 hours. And during that time, you hopefully did not wake up to go drink a bunch of water during that time. So especially first thing in the morning, instead of going to your morning coffee, instead of going to your morning breakfast, water comes first. You are dehydrated. You are not thirsty. And you really should not be going straight to the coffee maker, straight to the caffeine as soon as you wake up. Because realistically speaking, you just had 7 to 9 hours of hopefully high quality sleep. And like quite literally, the last thing that you really should be needing is caffeine right after waking. And this is a habit I've been doing for the past several years. I used to never really drink coffee. And then once I got into the habit of drinking coffee, I always made a rule to myself that I would not have it first thing in the morning. I would always typically wait 1 or 2 hours, not for any scientific reasons, but just because realistically speaking, I should feel good enough within the first 1 to 2 hours upon waking to go throughout my day, right? Water first thing makes coffee also hit a lot smoother and helps you starts the day already winning. Also, pre-meal, so before you even have your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, having water before that is a legit tiny lever for appetite control. There's been research showing that drinking about 500 milliliters of water before meals can increase weight loss when paired with obviously a reduced calorie diet. But often you will find, especially if you are a snacker or a grazer, or you're just constantly hungry, but your water intake is also very low, that is the first thing that I would fix right away. Look at your water intake. How much water are you actually realistically drinking? I start my day with at least 1 liter of water. It gives me a great head start. I drink around a lot more than 4 liters of water. I have a liter of water upon waking, and then I have a liter of water during my workouts. And then obviously I do my running as well, and I'll have typically a liter of water around that. And then all throughout the day, before my meals, during my meals, after my meals, I drink water. And it helps me stay fuller for longer, helps my performance stay elevated. But now here's the thing. Even though I am obsessed with water, I cut it out at least a couple hours before bed, because I do not want to find myself in a situation where I just down a bunch of water right before bed and then having to wake up every hour or so when I'm trying to sleep, because that can have a negative impact on your sleep. So try to cut off your water intake. Honestly, the sooner the better. So try to front load your water intake, which probably means that you should also front load your exercise, because you obviously do want to stay hydrated during your exercise. So if you can front load not only your water intake, but then also most of your meals, and then also your workouts and exercise portion of the day, the better, because then you can cut off your water intake sooner, which means that you can go to bed without feeling the need to go pee every 30 minutes to an hour. On top of that too, with the exercise, like I try to do my exercise earlier on in the day as opposed to later on in the evening. I've never been a huge fan of late night workouts, because like you're just kind of like putting everything backwards, because when you're exercising late at night, that means your heart rate is elevated. It also probably means that you're going to be drinking water during that time. It also probably means that you're going to be eating a meal afterwards. And all these small little things can have a huge impact on the quality of your sleep, especially if you try to go to sleep right after a hard workout routine, a hard exercise, a hard run, a tough workout. So if you can try to front load most of the things that are important to you in life earlier on in the day, the better that'll be. At least for myself, that's what I like to do. I like to do the tougher tasks first thing in the morning, so that in the evening time, I get to fully wind down, fully relax, so that I can prime my body to have a great night of sleep, fully recovered. And sleep is just one of the biggest things that you could possibly do when it comes to your health, your longevity, your performance, your just like everything you want in life typically always comes after a great night of sleep. Like you're never going to feel good being sleep deprived going into an interview, going into work, going into a date, going into anything that is important to you in life, going into a workout even. Like you're not going to operate at your highest capacity if you are not sleeping well, if you are sleep deprived. So these are just some of the small little micro habits that I do on a daily basis to help improve my sleep and therefore improve my life. Second thing here is adding electrolytes to my water. So if you train a lot, if you sweat a lot, if you use the sauna or travel, plain water may not always be enough. Electrolytes can help fluid balance and hydration, especially around exercise. Now, meta-analysis have shown that electrolytes, specifically electrolyte drinks, can help improve hydration markers compared to just regular water in exercise contexts. So specifically for me, because I'm very active, I do at least one workout a day, and typically I do a run per day as well. I'm practicing arm training for my marathon, but I still want to obviously build muscle, be lean. I sweat a lot. I'm very active. And so my body requires more than just water. Because I sweat a lot, I also need electrolytes. Now, if you're someone who is sedentary and is not active, then no, you do not require more electrolytes. You require more movement. But if you are an individual who moves a lot, who sweats a lot, or who just lives in a very hot climate, you have a very active job, then incorporating more electrolytes into your water intake can actually help you be more hydrated than less hydrated. So here's a simple rule. If I'm just sitting around and it's a rest day, plain water is fine. But if I'm training, sweating, running, or using the sauna, I typically like to add electrolytes. Third thing here is having an under the desk treadmill. Now, unfortunately, I do not have one right now. I used to have one in the past, and my friends have one. And every time I go visit my friend, I just get reminded how much of a game changer this actually is, especially if you work remotely or if you're somehow able to bring a walking pad to your office, to your desk job. It is one of the easiest ways to increase your step counts and therefore burn more calories throughout the day, and therefore put you in a calorie deficit, and therefore burn body fat while you are working. Some people can actually feel more productive while they're just slightly moving their body, slightly walking. They actually feel more productive doing that. Others, not as much. But if you feel fine or neutral doing this, then it's the easiest thing that you can start doing right away without really changing anything to your routine, to your schedule, to anything, to just start burning more calories and burning more body fats. This is a cheat code for people who sit all day long. It turns dead time into movement time without needing extra motivation. Even if you do not want an under the desk treadmill, just simply having a walking pad in your house is such a game changer. Once again, my friend has one, and every time I go visit my friend, it's just so fascinating how You can literally do anything while being on a walking pad. You want to watch a movie, go on the walking pad. You want to text a couple friends, go on the walking pad. If you want to call one of your colleagues, go on the walking pad. If you want to just do anything where you can multitask, go on a walking pad. Burn those extra calories. If you don't want a walking pad, if you don't have a walking pad, just walk around. Walk around in circles, walk around your apartment complex, walk around the city, walk around the park. Like, this isn't just about the under the desk treadmill, although those are very convenient, but just simply walking, being active. Like, a lot of people think that in order to lose body fat and burn a ton of calories, they need to do high intensity interval training workouts. And yes, they can definitely work. But for the average person, for the clients that we help, like, we don't require them to do that, because we just simply have them increase their daily activity. We have them increase their NEAT, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is just all the small little movements you do throughout the day that aren't really considered as exercise. But if you are just simply more active throughout the day, the likelihood of you losing weight and then actually keeping it off for good, because once again, we want to turn this into a habit and not just a quick fix, you will be able to lose the weight and keep it off for good as well. And it's one of the healthiest things that you could do. Instead of sitting around all day, walk around all day. That is why people hundreds, 200 years ago were always so lean, because they weren't just sitting on a couch all day on their phone being distracted. They were running errands, they were moving, they were hunting, they were just doing whatever. They were constantly just on their feet. And so we live in an environment where, yes, it is easier than ever to be lazy, to sit on the couch, to do nothing. But I would argue and say that it's also never been easier than ever before to do the opposite, to be more active, because we have so much technology in our hands right now where we can watch this type of content. And then with this type of content, invest into this new technology, into these new features, into these new things like a walking pad. Like, that's a pretty new invention, right? And so we can use this new technology, use living in 2026 to our advantage to actually get into better shape as opposed to getting in worse shape, right? Second thing here, or third thing here, walk between sets at the gym. Most people sit and scroll between sets. I see it all the time. They do their heavy set of bench press, squats, deadlifts, or even like a set of bicep curls, whatever. And then they'll just sit on the bench for however long, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. But during that time, you could just be walking around, pacing around the gym, burning more calories, increasing your step counts. It also just keeps me warmer. It keeps my heart rate up a bit and helps me leave the gym feeling athletic and not stiff. Because yeah, I used to sometimes do that where I would go into the gym, I would do my 4 sets of whatever for a couple of exercises, and I just sit in between sets. And then after I was done, I felt like I did more resting than I did like exercising and moving. And this was like way, way, way back. And I just kind of felt like I don't really feel like I did much. And so you might as well be productive and just walk in between sets. It is a cheat code. It is a hack. And also helps you just, once again, burn more calories. This is also how you can quietly raise your daily step counts without having to do more specific type of cardio. Another thing here is taking 10 grams of creatine daily. Now, this is something I've been experimenting with personally over the past several months. I used to always take 5 grams a day, every single day, since 2019, really. I've been on and off a couple of times since then, but for the most part, I've been pretty consistent. And there's actually been some new research showing that upping your dosage to 10 grams, 15 grams, all the way up to 20 grams a day cannot, I mean, yes, you won't have any more physical benefits, but it may actually improve cognitive benefits. So in terms of like your brain, your thinking power. And now creatine is one of the most studied supplements in sports nutrition, super safe. The ISSN position stand reports strong safety data, including long-term use in healthy individuals, even at higher intakes in some studies. And now with that said, most standard maintenance dosing is around 3 to 5 grams daily. So if you want to take creatine, I would always just recommend starting with that. And sometimes even higher doses can also bother some people's stomach. And then also if you have kidney disease or medical concerns, always talk to your clinician first before taking creatine. But my personal approach is just consistently dosing it daily. And I track how I feel and perform. As of right now, I haven't noticed any huge benefits to taking 10 grams of creatine every single day. It's just something that I saw in the research, And I saw a lot of people starting experimenting with it. And I thought, okay, why not let me experiment with this? And it's been a couple months and I have not really noticed, like, honestly, like any huge, like, honestly noticeable changes either. So yeah, probably just taking 5 grams a day is like the bare minimum that anyone should be taking, whether you're male, female. Seems to be a good dosage. I will let you guys know if I notice anything in the next couple months. I'm gonna keep on taking my 10 grams of creatine, but yeah, once again, it's such a cheap, affordable supplement. It's the most researched supplement, super safe, no real downsides to it either. So yeah, for me, it's just like a why not type of thing. Now let's move on to section 2, which is all about sleep and recovery micro habits. The first one here is dimming the lights before bed. This habit is stupid simple and way more powerful than people think. A bright room light at night can suppress your melatonin, which naturally gets released by your body in the evening to help put you in a sleepy state. But if you're in a bright room, if you're looking at your blue light, if you're on your phone in the evening, your body's going to have a hard time producing this melatonin naturally. So if you can just help your body by dimming the lights, having blue light blockers on if you want, or just getting rid of your phone altogether at the very least an hour before bed, you're just going to be benefiting your body so much, so much. And there's classic research showing typical room light exposure can suppress melatonin substantially. So I dimmed the lights earlier and it tells my brain to shut it down. This includes no TVs, no screens, nothing to distract me with blue lights. An hour before bed, I just really wind down, lights are down. I do some relaxing activities, which I'll touch on later on. But this really puts me in a sleepy state, sleepy mood to help optimize my sleep. To go alongside that, do not sleep with your phone. I thankfully never got into this habit. The first time I got a phone, or at least I guess an iPod, was when I was 11 or 12. So I was at a pretty young age when I first got introduced to this technology. I believe it was an iPod 4. Yeah, iPod 4 or something. And I was able to, yeah, I had social media on it, Twitter, YouTube, what else? Some other social media apps. But thankfully, I never really got into the habit of going with it to bed. I guess my parents raised me pretty well, where they always told me that, hey, don't do it. It's bad for you. I never asked why, but I just trusted them. So thankful for my parents for not letting me get into that habit. But if your phone is next to your bed every single evening, you are basically sleeping next to a slot machine. Even beyond the scrolling that you may be doing, evening screen light and stimulation can mess up your sleep by a lot. There are randomized and experimental studies showing blue light exposure and phone use at night can impact melatonin and sleep outcomes. And reducing blue light can improve subjective sleep quality. So my rule, phone charges away from the bed. I don't even sleep with my phone in the same room. I don't. I really don't. And I'm at a point now where I don't really rely on an alarm either, because my circadian rhythm, which is my body's biological clock, is so dialed in. And this isn't me bragging, this isn't me boasting, this is just me stating facts. It is so dialed in right now where my body literally helps me fall asleep at a certain time and helps me wake up at a certain time, because I'm so consistent with my bedtime routine and wake up morning routine. My body knows, okay, 9:30, Cohnan will typically shut off the lights. Let's start to get a bit sleepy. 6 a.m., 6:30, Cohnan typically wakes up at this time, so let's start to wake him up. Now, here's where a lot of people go wrong. They may dial things in Monday through Friday, but then when the weekend comes around, that is where they mess up. And unfortunately, your body does not care and does not know whether it's the weekend or not. It really doesn't. Your body is operating on a 24-hour basis, whether it's a random Tuesday, a random Thursday, or a Friday night, Saturday night. It does not know and it does not care. This isn't me being mean. This isn't me just making you feel bad. This is me just stating facts. Unfortunately, that's how our bodies operate. And so I am working with my body and not against my body, which means consistent bedtime routine, consistent wake up routine. Do this for at least a couple of weeks straight, including weekends. And over time, you will notice that you won't have to rely on an alarm anymore, which is one of the most freeing feelings, in my opinion, because I hate the sound of an alarm. You guys probably know exactly what it sounds like. You probably get PTSD every single time you hear it. The I can't stand it. No more for me. So that is why I'm also able to sleep without my phone in my bedroom, because I don't need that stupid alarm. My body wakes me up for me, for myself. So if you don't want to hear that stupid alarm anymore, dial in your circadian rhythm. Your body will thank you for it. Now, before bed, I read just 30 minutes before. And once again, no phone, no scrolling, just reading. There's even a randomized trial suggesting reading a book in bed improved sleep quality compared to not reading, especially if it's a non-fictional book, to really put your mind at ease. Like if you're trying to do homework before bed, or if you're trying to like read this analytical paper before bed, your brain is still going to be like firing and operating and trying to think hard. But if you can just let your mind go to ease and just listen, even listening, not even reading, but listening to like a non like an audio book, like a fictional book, sorry, just to let your imagination do its thing, let your creativity do its thing. It can actually put you in a sleepier mood compared to reading a non-fiction book. And it is a clean transition ritual, and it also slows your brain down. Here's another thing that I do before bed: sauna and cold shower. This one's interesting. Thankfully for me, I have access to a sauna and a cold shower. I know some people don't, so this is definitely optional, but something worth experimenting with if you have access to it. This one is about downshifting your nervous system. So passive heating, like warm baths. So even if you don't have a sauna, using a warm bath or heat exposure has evidence for improving sleep in certain populations, likely through body temperature changes and relaxation effects. I treat sauna as my end of day shutdown. And the cold shower after is personal preference. Some people find it relaxing, some find it too stimulating. I keep it short, and I notice how my sleep actually has improved because of that. I'm not sure the science behind it, but I just based off personal experience. Every single time I go into the sauna, I do it for around 20 minutes. The temperature is set at around 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is fairly hot. But afterwards, even during it, I just feel so sleepy. I'm sure there's some other benefits to it where it releases shock proteins and it mimics the effects that cardio may have on your body. I don't really look too much into that. I just look at it from a perspective of how it makes me feel. And I just notice every single time I use the sauna before bed, I just go to bed feeling a lot sleepier and a lot better as opposed to not using the sauna. So once again, personal preference, it's what I do, and it's been working tremendously. And the whole cold shower thing after the sauna, this is something that I heard from Gary Brecka, who is this biohacking person. Once again, this is just something that I'm experimenting with, but taking a cold shower right after the sauna can actually help cool your body down a bit more before bed, which is interesting. But I've been doing this for the past, just honestly, a couple of days, and it's been working quite well. So I really enjoy it. And I will tell you right now, January 4th, 2026, this is the best my sleep has ever been. Like, I kid you not. I've experimented with a lot of things, and I'm just so obsessed with optimizing my routine, my sleep, my diet, my exercise routine, just everything. So yeah, I would say right now, my sleep, this has been the best it's ever been. With all the habits and tips that I just mentioned to you guys, it's just been working wonders for me. And now when I do go to bed, when I do finally fall asleep, here's what I do. I use mouth tape. So I put tape on my mouth. I use nose strips. So I put a strip on my nose. I use a face mask. So I put a mask on my face, and I wear earplugs, which sounds really extreme. Now, this may be the most biohacky one yet, but there are small studies suggesting mouth taping may help snoring or mouth sleep apnea in certain mouth breathers. So especially if you go throughout your day breathing through your mouth all the time, that is not good for you. It is far more healthier and beneficial for you to breathe through your nose, to be a nasal breather and not a mouth breather. And so by putting mouth tape over your mouth at night and having a nose strip on your nose, if you snore a lot or if you're just a regular mouth breather throughout the day, it can actually help promote nasal breathing during the day by putting that on at night. And it's worked for me. I enjoy it. I sleep well, and I don't snore. I don't have sleep apnea. I probably never will, to be honest. But yeah, it's just been helping a lot. And now broader reviews point out the evidence base is limited and there are risks if you have nasal obstruction. So I would definitely be careful with this. If you have pre-existing either sleep apnea or if you're just snoring a lot, I would be careful. So if you try this, never do it if your nose is clogged. Consider getting evaluated if you suspect sleep apnea, and safety always comes first. Now let's talk about the third section, which is body composition and mental clarity micro habits. First one here is post-meal digestion walk. PMDW is as my friends will like to call it. This is one of the highest ROI habits on the list. Even a 10-minute walk after eating can lower post-meal glucose spikes. Recent research suggests a brief post-meal walk can meaningfully reduce peak glucose compared to sitting. So if you eat a big meal and you just sit right after, that's not ideal. But if you can just stand up, walk for just even like 5-10 minutes, it's going to have a huge difference in your glucose spikes. There's also older research supporting post-prandial walking improved glycemic responses. So after a meal, make it a habit, walk. Doesn't have to be hard, just move. Just move. Another one here is stop eating after 6 p.m. This is basically early time restricted eating. The why is pretty simple here. Late night snacking is where most people accidentally blow their calories. And eating earlier often aligns better with your circadian metabolism too, because eating a huge meal at night right before bed, your body has to utilize so much energy like through the digestion to digest all that food. And if you try to digest the food while trying to go to sleep as well, it's just a recipe for disaster. I've done this a couple times where I would intentionally save my calories right before bed. I would suffer through the day and then save like this 1,500 calorie meal right before bed. And now, yes, there is a healthy balance here between you don't want to be going to bed feeling starved, but you also don't want to be going to bed feeling stuffed. So find a happy medium for you. For me, it typically means eating a nice solid meal at around 6 p.m. and then I cut it off. That is it. That's me happy and I can sleep well. But going back to my earlier story, when I used to save calories, up to 1,500 calories right before bed, thinking that it would help improve my sleep, it did the exact opposite. Because I remember I felt so stuffed, I felt so bloated where I couldn't even comfortably lay down in my bed. I had to like lay on one side, try not to move so much because every time I did move, I could literally feel my stomach, like I could feel the food inside of my stomach and it just felt so uncomfortable. It felt so heavy. I was gassy. I was farting. It was horrible. And then I woke up the next morning and guess what? I felt even more horrible because my sleep got impacted. The food still hasn't fully digested yet. And you start to get into this vicious circle where now you wake up the next morning and because you're not hungry, you're going to wait again for later on in the evening when you do get hungry. But now you have to get all these calories in again. And then you repeat this vicious cycle where you eat this massive meal before bed. You try to go to bed. You get a poor night of sleep. You wake up the next morning. You feel bloated. You feel lethargic. You feel like trash. You wait hours upon hours upon hours until you have your first meal again. But because it is so close to bedtime, now you just repeat the pattern. You repeat the cycle. And it's just a never-ending thing that's just only has downsides and no real upsides. So if you can just eat like a regular person, and not eat too close before bed, or at least not a super high calorie thing before bed, you're going to be far better off. And now randomized trials on early time restricted eating show improvements in weight and cardiometabolic outcomes in some populations, which is awesome. But now here's the important rule. This isn't magical. It is a boundary that makes overeating just a lot harder and my sleep a lot better too. Another one here is weighing myself every single morning. Most people avoid the scale because it ruins their mood. And to some extent, yes, it can affect you mentally, negatively, if you allow it to. But if you just simply view the number on a scale as one of the many ways to measure your progress, also knowing fully well that it could fluctuate daily based on the food you ate the night before, based on your sleep, based on what time you ate, based on how much water you drank. then it really should not affect you too much, because we're not concerned, at least inside of our program, our clients, we're not concerned about the day-to-day fluctuations. Like, for example, for me, I woke up 2 pounds lighter than I did the night before or the morning before. 2 pounds lighter. Did that mean that I lost 2 pounds of fat overnight? No. But did that also mean that I gained 2 pounds of fat 2 nights ago? Also no. It's just fluctuations. Your hormones, your body, your digestion, just everything, it all fluctuates. So we're not concerned about the day-to-day. We're more so concerned about the weekly averages, and more importantly, the monthly averages. Essentially, the longer you can span out your time horizon over measuring your progress, whatever you want to measure progress in, the better off you will be. So I use weighing myself like a dashboard. Daily self-weighing has been studied as a behavioral tool and has shown benefits in weight loss and self-regulation interventions. The trick is emotional neutrality. It's data and not a verdict. Another thing here is 20 minutes in the sun. Morning sunlight is a signal to your circadian rhythm to showcase or to tell your body that, hey, it is daytime. It is time to wake up. And going back to my previous point, right? If you have blue light before bed, guess what that signals to your body? That it's also daytime, that it's also still time to be up. So that's why so many people, especially young people, their circadian rhythm is completely out of whack, where they still scroll on TikTok at midnight when your body should be supposed to think that it is actually midnight. But because you're watching all this blue light, it still thinks it's daytime, which is why your sleep is all messed up. Research shows morning bright light can phase advanced circadian rhythms, basically helping your sleep to wake timing. I try to get outside as early as I can first thing in the morning, even if it's just walking. Getting immediate sunlight exposure is one of the easiest things anyone can start doing right away to help improve your circadian rhythm. Another thing I like to do in the morning is daily gratitude. This one sounds cheesy until you do it consistently. There are randomized trials and meta-analysis showing gratitude interventions can improve well-being, and some studies even show improvements in sleep quality. Now, my version is very simple. I have my daily to-do list. It's like a notebook, a physical notebook, not my phone, but like an actual notebook where I actually physically have to write down. And I just write down my to-do list for the day. I write down a couple of important things that I have to focus on. And then I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for every single morning. And it doesn't have to be something spectacular. It doesn't have to be something different every single day. Sometimes I'm grateful for the exact same things every single day, but it could be something small, like I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful to have clean teeth. I'm grateful for the sunlight. I'm grateful for my family. I am grateful to be injury-free. I'm grateful I get to drink water, whatever it may be. Sometimes even the smallest of things can make a huge impact, because now that you actually think about it, because so many things, like we go through life taking so many things for granted, being able to put on a pair of shoes, being able to run outside, being able to exercise, being able to eat a healthy meal, like all these things we take for granted. But if you can just simply write them down to start your day, you're going to be filled with so much gratitude, and your perspective on life, your mood is going to drastically change. So especially if you're a moody person, if you're a negative person, this is going to be an absolute game changer for you. Do it. It may sound cheesy. It may sound cringe, but like no one has to look at it. This is your journal. This is your book. This is your gratitude list. It's not something you have to share on social media. It's not something you have to share with your friends, share with your loved ones. It is just for you. But hopefully this can put you in a better mood so you can show up as a better person for your friends, for your family members, for your coworkers, for your boss. And I don't know about you, but I would rather spend time with people who are always in a happy mood than with people who are always in a grumpy mood. 10 times out of 10. Now, a couple last points here is tracking finances and my health stats daily. This is the habit that quietly changes everything. What gets tracked gets managed, not just in health, but with your wealth too. With everything, like anything you want to improve in life, measure, track it. When you track your money, you spend with intention. When you track your steps, when you track your sleep, when you track your weight, when you track your training, you stop lying to yourself, and it removes the fog. The data that you get from this will help you make clearer decisions, because if you don't know what your weight is, if you don't know what your net worth is, how would you know what adjustments to make? anywhere at any time. Like you don't, you're just guessing. You're just simply guessing. You could tell yourself, you know, why you're doing certain things, but without backing it up with data, you don't, you're just simply guessing. So make a rule to yourself that if you want to improve something, track it, track the data. Another thing here is brush and floss while walking. This is pure habit stacking. You're stacking one habit with another one. I attach something important like my oral health to something easy like walking around. Flossing plus brushing has evidence for improving gum health outcomes compared to brushing alone in multiple reviews. So make sure, this is beyond my scope of practice, of course, but make sure that you floss your teeth and brush your teeth at least twice per day. Like non-negotiable. No one wants a stinky breath. No one wants rotten teeth. Like just do that. But by combining the flossing with the walking, I'm killing two birds with one stone, because not only am I cleaning my teeth now, I'm also burning calories as I do it, right? Another kind of small little mini habit stack there. Last one here is moisturizing my face daily. Another tiny habit that makes you feel more put together. No one likes an acne-filled, oily face. No one likes that. Of course not. And now, yes, your diet, your hydration, your sleep, all these things will impact that a lot more than just simply putting lotion on it. But putting lotion on it, like all over your body, I do that at least once a day after my shower. Just lotion all over my body helps keep my skin nice and clear. And it's nice. It's just a nice feeling to have clear skin. But I would argue and say that my diet is the most important part for keeping my skin nice and clean. But yeah, that's just something I've been doing for years and I love it. And it just helps me feel fresh, put together. I obviously make sure that I shave as well, manscape, all these things, because yeah, no one wants to just be hairy and just kind of feel gross, right? There's also research tying moisturizer used to improve skin barrier function, which is great. It's not life-changing by all means, but identity changing for sure. You just feel more put together, essentially. But here's the real point. None of these habits are actually hard, right? It's like I just spoke for 36 minutes straight. Everything that I just talked about required no willpower, no motivation, no nothing. It's just small daily things that I do on a repeatable basis consistently for years and years and years. And they stack, they add up, they compound, and they get better over time. And that is why they work. They do not require motivation. They require standards. My goal for you is to just pick 3 and start today. Then add 1 per week, because your life does not change when you feel inspired. It changes when your defaults change. Now, to wrap up this video, if you want the full fat loss system I use with busy men to drop 30 to 50 pounds without giving up their favorite foods, without spending hours in a gym, without giving up their lifestyle, what you can go ahead and do is book a free consultation call with me down below, where we'll essentially go over your current goals, we'll go over your current struggles, and create a game plan together to help you absolutely crush them in the next 3 to 6 months. If that sounds good to you, the link will be in the description down below, and I'll see you all there.